All right, so I want to make a quick video on a more challenging slope question. It's not that challenging, especially not this one. This one's a basic slope formula question, all right? So we want to find the slope. Let me zoom into the 2 points. So there's a line that passes through the location 6, -2 and 7, -4. And that line, we want to state the slope of that line, how steep that line is. So hopefully we remember that we're going to use a slope formula. Slope formula is m equals a fraction with division, and we do have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So we need to get those x and y values from the coordinates. Coordinates are x and y values. So you have an x right here and a y right there, but technically, how could you tell the difference between the x right there and the x right there? You're going to say that this 6 is x from your first point, and the -2 is y from your first point. The 7 is x from your second point, and the -4 is y from your second point, okay? So even though we have x and y values on both, it's important to name this one x1, y1 because it's your first point, x2, y2 because it's your second point. And now we'll be able to safely plug in those values. So again, I recommend rewriting the formula, m equals, and then putting the subtractions on top and bottom, and then plugging in your y2, which is -4, your y1, which is -2, your x2, which is 7, and your x1, which is 6. Of course, the minus minus changes to plus plus. So up on top, you have -4 plus 2, which is -2. And on the bottom, you have 7 take away 6, which is 1. So that simply means that your m value is -2. Now, you could say -2 over 1 if you want, or you could just say -2. That's your m value. That for sure, 100% will be on the next test that we have, okay? We should all know how to do this, right? We've done way beyond this already. But I wanted to go over this simple question using the slope formula to understand this more challenging question right here. So right here, it says, find the missing value of r, okay? And that doesn't have to be, r doesn't mean anything. It's just, it could be A, it could be C, it could be Q, R, whatever, any letter. It says, so find this, you see there's an R right here? They want you to find what that value is. So because we see this format of two coordinates, and especially they're giving us a slope, we know we're going to use a slope formula, okay? So let's write down the slope formula. M equals division, subtraction, and of course you have the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That is your slope formula. Now, they're not asking us to find the slope. They already give us the slope, okay? So what are we going to do here? We want to, like in any other question in math, you want to plug in the information they give you to find out the information that you don't know. So what do they give us? They give us the x1, y1. They give us the x2, y2, but we're going to have to plug in an r instead of an actual number for y2. And they also give us, obviously, the m value, okay? So the m is -3, and that's going to go right here where the m's at. So we're going to put a -3 right there. And then you have equals. You still have the division and the subtractions, but we're going to plug in the y2 of r right here. So r, and then the y1 of 5 right here, 5, and the x2 of -9 right there, -9, and the x1 of -8 right there. Are you with me? All right. So again, we wrote the formula down and we plugged in everything. The only difference is, most of the time when we're using the formula, we're trying to figure this out, and that's what the answer is. M equals that answer. But we already know the answer. The answer is -3. So we plugged in that -3 over here into where the m was at, and we plugged in everything, the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we don't know the actual number that belongs right here where r is at. So by us plugging in everything, we can now solve the equation, okay? So we need to get r by itself. So how do we do that? Well, we're first going to change the minus minus to plus plus, and we're going to simplify this equation. This equation is going to read -3 equals r minus 5 over, what's -9 plus 8? -1. There you go. Now, you don't want a fraction, especially over -1. So how could you get rid of that division of -1? Yeah, by multiplying by -1. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side, multiply by -1. So now we're going to have a new equation. That new equation is going to be -3 equals, oh wait, I'm sorry, +3. +3 equals r minus 5. And then from there, we need to get rid of that -5 by doing +5, +5. So there you have your final answer. 8 equals r equals 8. And that's what they're asking for. We're not asking for slope. They actually gave us the answer to the slope. The slope is -3. We plugged in that answer where the m's at. M is slope. So plug in the -3 right there. Plug in your x1, y1, x2, y2 into the formula right there. And then you're going to solve the equation, and you're going to find that missing value, r equals 8. So find the missing value of r. Type in your answer without spaces between your terms. So right here, you're going to type in r. Don't hit spacebar, just equals 8. Okay. And I think also if you just type in 8, the missing value, I think it'll also give you full credit. You guys good? So there will be questions like this in the next test. Okay.